It's widely known as the Yellow Envelope Act here in South Korea. The new law, signed on Tuesday, expands labor union rights but has displeased businesses. With a 6-month grace period before it takes effect, what are the key points of discussion? We have our Kim Do-yeon here in the studio. Welcome back, Do-yeon.
Good to be here.
So, Do-yeon, the Lee Jae-myung administration has been quite adamant about passing this law, right?
That's right, Tammy. First, it was passed as means by the government to tackle labor inequality. Now, there is a gap in treatment in the nation's labor scene between full-time employees and contract workers. This law was vetoed by the former administration twice, keep in mind, and now it's one of the first laws to be signed by President Lee. Take a listen to the president first about this.
이런 입법 취지를 살리려면 노사를 포함한 시장 참여자들 모두가 상호 존중 그리고 협력의 정신을 더욱더 발휘해야 합니다. 기업이 있어야 노동자가 존재할 수 있고 노동자의 협력이 전제돼야 기업도 안정된 경영 환경을 누릴 수 있는 것입니다.
Now, to give you a bit more detail, the so-called Yellow Envelope Act refers to revisions to labor unit laws which expand the definition of an employer to include principal contractors and allow non-employees to join trade unions. Furthermore, it broadens the scope of lawful industrial action while limiting a company's ability to seek damages from unions for strike-related losses.
So there's the bill that will come into effect in 6 months. Now, Do-yeon, let's start with the name itself. Why is it called Yellow Envelope Act to begin with?
Now, the name Yellow Envelope Act originates from the 2009 Sangyong Motors strike. After the 77-day strike, a court ordered workers to pay a staggering 4.7 billion won, or about $3.4 million in damages. In response to their hardship, a citizen sent a 47,000 won donation, a symbolic 100,000 of the total debt inside a yellow envelope to local media with a letter showing empathy to their cause. That single act sparked a nationwide grassroots movement which became known as the Yellow Envelope Campaign as the public sent donations to support the workers. The law, parts of which are designed to protect unions from such crippling damage claims, was ultimately named in honor of that campaign.
Well, I do have to say, despite the heartwarming story, this is fiercely fought against by businesses. The expansion of the definition of the word employer seems to be a key point, right?
That is the central issue here. In essence, it means employees of a subcontracting company can now negotiate their working conditions with directly the principal corporation that hired their company. For these large corporations, this could create a significant new burden as they may now be responsible for the employees of hundreds of different contractors amounting to thousands of workers. However, experts argue this legal change was an inevitable reflection of the current economic structure. Contracting has become prevalent over the last few decades, and courts have already been setting precedents for this type of responsibility. To put this scale into perspective, data from the Korea Institute for Industrial Economics and Trade shows that in the manufacturing sector alone, over half, 50.6% of all small and medium-sized enterprises operate as subcontractors.
Subcontracting firms are often very small, and their employees' wages are inevitably determined by the contract value set by the principal contractor. That is why subcontracted workers have consistently wanted to negotiate directly with the principal contractor. In that sense, this was an unavoidable legal measure.
Well, another key point of the bill is the limitation on the filing for damages from strikes. It sounds like it could lead to more strikes that could halt business operations, I'm afraid.
Now, that's also another crucial point, and it's important to understand the context. Now, of course, we saw the story behind the name, so
Right.
this has something to do with it, and it's all been a question whether companies were retaliating against strikes when filing for damages. Take a listen to the expert again.
The scope of what constitutes an illegal strike in South Korea is very broad compared to Western countries. It's very easy for a strike to be deemed illegal here.
This legislation aims to shield unions from what they see as punitive damages that could dismantle a union entirely. Will there be riot-like strikes by the union now that no damages can be claimed by the company? The text will have to be clarified, and that's what the government is aiming to do going forward.
Many people are concerned about this. So if the law cannot be abolished, then the enforcement decree must be drafted with great detail and care.
Well, Toyon, again, businesses have voiced strong concerns, including worries that this could potentially drive away foreign investment. The question is there validity to this argument?
Right, there is certainly a major concern for businesses, and we have been listening to a lot of them. And they fear rising labor costs and increased disputes could make South Korea a less attractive market. But take a listen to an expert.
However, this seems to have some limited effect on the U.S. investment because labor costs in the U.S. is higher than that in Korea. And passing such bills does not seem to critically increase the labor costs in Korea to that in the U.S.
Now, he also added, if things add up, at one point, the scale could be tipped.
Well, let's see when the bill goes into effect in half a year. Toyon, thank you so much for the coverage tonight.
Thank you for having me.